welcome back to my channel. So a while ago I did a video on my top 5 foundations for Indian skin tones, warm, tan, brown, whatever you want to call it. If you're of a warm skin tone and you struggle to find foundations that match you well, then that video was for you. I will link it down below if you haven't seen it, but I really focused on the shades more so than the actual type of foundation. Of course I did cover that, but it was more so about the shades for this skin tone or around this. So I've now decided to do the same thing but for concealers, because concealers are just as important as your foundation. But before I start, I just want to mention that all of the concealers that I'm going to be showing you are either medium to full coverage or just full coverage, and that's because I want to show you concealers that do the job quickly, so they can cover up pigmentation, scarring, or even more importantly, dark circles, rather than using 2 or 3 products to achieve the kind of look that you want. So that is what I'm focusing on for these concealers. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys which concealers are my favorite and which ones you guys can look out for if you're on the hunt for one. The first one I'm going to mention is a bit of an old school one, and it's one that makeup artists use a lot in their kit. Of course you don't have to be a makeup artist to be able to use it, but it's a really good one, and it's the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This concealer is straight up full coverage. Now the reason why this concealer is so good is because it's got a technology in it where it doesn't crease as much as other concealers might, and that's because it dries nice and matte and you get that kind of flawless finish with it. So this you can use around the face, but it works really nicely and best underneath the eyes. Now as this is such a full coverage concealer, it is going to cover up those dark circles quickly and easily. Now a few of the shades that I have that I feel work for someone of my skin tone or close. The first one is NC42. NC42 is actually the shade of my face, my skin, so that is the shade of my foundation. So if I wanted to match it to that, then I could go ahead and use this, or of course use this around my face to cover up anything else. And the other 2 shades that I have, and of course don't stick to these shades if they don't work for you. These are just shades that I would recommend trying if you are around my kind of skin bracket, if that makes sense. But of course, please do go and try the shades yourself and see what works for you. I also have an NC35. This is a little bit lighter than my NC42, and this is to highlight and brighten underneath the eyes. So instead of using 2 or 3 products to highlight, so instead of correcting, concealing, and then using a highlighter pen, I could just go in and straight away and use this. And then the other one is an NW25. Now, if you don't know much about MAC products, NCs are yellow based and the NWs are more pinky based. Obviously, being a warm skin tone, I'd be an NC, which is why these 2 concealers, NC42 and NC35, would work. But the NW25, but because it's kind of got like that orangey pinky undertone, it's going to correct your under eye area. So I wouldn't really use an NW25 on my skin tone on my face. I would use it underneath my eyes to correct and also to conceal. There are obviously other shades that you can use from MAC because they have such a huge shade range, but these 3 I would recommend if you are close to my skin tone. The next concealer I'm going to mention is actually one of my absolute favorites, and you've seen me use it in plenty of tutorials, and it's the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So this is a medium to full coverage concealer, a little bit more than full coverage. It really does what it says on the tin. It's a radiant, creamy concealer. The reason why this is one of my favorite concealers is because it's a concealer that I feel like I don't need to put anything else on top of to brighten, to conceal further, to correct. It just does the job in one go, and I absolutely love that. When I'm in a rush and I want to cover up dark circles, this does it. And then I've got another shade to cover up like pigmentation and scarring and any kind of grayness around the skin. So the one that I use around my face, so I like to use this kind of around my mouth where it's a little bit more grey and dull. I also like to use this one over like my scars where they've gone dark again. This one is in the shade shade Biscuit. Now this is a bit more like my actual skin tone, but slightly more orange. So when it's a little bit more orange, it's going to kind of brighten the area, but correct it. So that works perfectly for someone of my skin tone or close to my skin tone. I'm not going to go too much into correctors in this video, but if you want me to do a full video on correcting warm and Indian skin tones, then please comment down below and let me know, and I will do that for you. But yeah, this does the job for kind of brightening up skin, and it does it super quick because obviously it's medium to full coverage. And then the one that I use underneath my eyes, which I love so much because I have dark circles, and it instantly covers it and it instantly brightens, and I don't need to put anything else on top of it, and it is in the shade Ginger. So it's a couple shades lighter than my actual skin tone. So it's really nice to highlight with, brighten, and obviously conceal. The next concealer is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, and I have this in the shade Medium Dark Warm. I love this because again, it's like full coverage, but super creamy. So really nice and easy to blend with. It's basically like NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but creamier. The main thing about all of the concealers that I'm mentioning is the shade. The reason why I've picked all of these concealers is not just because they are of great quality, easy to work with, you know, they cover well, but they are brands that have nailed the shades for people of a warmer skin tone, which is really hard to find sometimes. Foundations and concealers sometimes tend to be far too pink, or they might be just right with a hint of pink, but these concealers have got them spot on, which is why I find it so important to mention them to you guys and let you know about them. My next concealer is the most affordable one out of the bunch that I'm showing you in this video, and it's the LA Girl Pro Conceal High Definition Concealer, and I have this in the shade Pure Beige. LA Girl is so affordable, and they have a huge range of shades in their concealers. The shade range for such a affordable brand is mind-blowing, because most drugstore and most affordable brands don't really cater to people of this skin tone. Like I said before, they can be a little bit too pink and they're never just quite right, whereas LA Girl have absolutely nailed all of their concealers. The quality is fantastic for the price. This concealer is such a good dupe for the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer I showed you at the beginning. This concealer is full coverage, so it instantly does the job without making you look grey or ashy in the areas that you're trying to cover. So where you've got your dullness or pigmentation or dark circles, anywhere where it's a bit dull in your skin, this is going to cover it without letting those areas kind of show through, but also not look too cakey at the same time. So I love this. I don't know if I've mentioned it already, but I've got this in the shade Pure Beige, and this is a little bit lighter than my actual skin tone, just because I want to highlight and brighten with this. So underneath my eyes and in the normal areas to highlight the face. I'd probably get a shade a little bit darker if I wanted to match it to my face, and they also have an orange corrector concealer, which is amazing too. Such good quality, and again, affordable. So finally, the last concealer is my Kevyn Aucoin Essential Skin Enhancer, and it comes in this teeny little pot here, which actually holds 18 grams of product. So that's quite a lot of concealer, considering these other concealers over here, they hold between 9 to 5 mils. The Urban Decay one holds 5 mil, the MAC one holds 9, the NARS one holds 6. This is about 45 to 50 pounds. I will leave links to all of these concealers down below for you, so you can check that out. But yeah, you're basically paying a little bit more, but you're getting way more product, and it's going to last you way longer. Now, the reason I love this concealer so much is because A, it's full coverage, so it's going to cover up what you need it to cover instantly. Like, when I say those ones are full coverage, they're full coverage, but this is next level full coverage, but not super drying whatsoever. You literally need a teeny amount, and it goes the longest way. It's going to cover up what you need it to cover up, and most importantly, they do have a good shade range. Now, I actually managed to find a shade that works for my face, so I like to use this around my face. I don't really like to use it underneath my eyes unless I kind of sheer it out with a moisturizer or something like that, but this works so well on pigmentation, scarring, dark spots. You guys have seen me use this in numerous amount of tutorials. I use this always around my mouth, around my nose, any spots or anything like that. It just covers it up so quickly without making it look cakey or heavy. I have this in the shade SX11, which is such an accurate shade for my skin tone. It's basically like an NC42 from MAC. It's just the most perfect shade. It brightens and it absolutely does the job, and I believe it is well worth the money. So that's it, guys, for my top 5 concealers. I really hope you found this helpful and interesting, and of course, if you want to know any more like top 5 blushes, bronzers, anything else for warm skin tones or Indian skin, anything, leave it down below in the comment section and let me know, because I'm always looking for ideas and suggestions, like I always ask you guys on Snapchat. But yeah, make sure you're following me on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff. All of the links will be down below, and of course, if you're not subscribed, make sure you do so you don't miss out, and I'll see you all in my next video. Mwah. Bye.